Lady Frances Carfax. Of course, Herr Doctor, I remember her very well. She stayed here for 2 weeks. I would describe her as a very lonely person.
Lonely? What gave you that impression?
Like many lonely ladies, Lady Frances found consolation in religion. While staying here, she made the acquaintance of a Dr. Schlesinger and his wife. They were missionaries newly returned from South America, and they soon became very good friends.
I'm glad to hear it.
Dr. Schlesinger has a remarkable personality, and the fact that he was recovering from malaria, contracted in the course of his duties, affected Lady Frances deeply. She helped Mrs. Schlesinger to nurse the man of God, and he made a very good recovery. When he was strong enough to travel, Lady Frances accompanied the Schlesingers to London 3 weeks ago.
To London? Extraordinary.
What's extraordinary about it, Herr Doctor? That is her home, is it not?
Yes, but if she is in London, she has not returned to her own house or made herself known to her friends. And what about the maid, Marie Devine? Did she go to London with the rest of the party?
Oh, no. A few days earlier, she went away alone, crying many tears, and telling the girls on my staff that she would never go into service again.
She gave in her notice.
As that or she was dismissed, I can tell you no more than that.
Yes. Well, thank you, Herr Brand. You have been very helpful.
There is one other matter you may like to know. You are not the only person who comes here to inquire after Lady Frances.
Indeed?
5 days ago, another man came here on the same errand.
Did he give his name?
No, he did not. He was an Englishman, so not the usual type of Englishman abroad. Not a quiet, reserved gentleman.
A savage, perhaps. A wild man.
You have hit it, Herr Doctor. That describes him perfectly. A bearded, sunburned fellow. Hard and fierce. I should not like to cross such a man.
Did the Schlesingers leave an address by any chance?
Alas, no. The only one who gave an address on her departure was Mademoiselle Devine, somewhere in Montpellier. Would that be of interest to you?
Mystery defines itself. Lady Frances, pursued by sinister figure bent on revenge. Has he already overtaken her? Perhaps Marie Devine holds answer to riddle. Signed, J.W.
Please send description Dr. Schlesinger's left ear soonest possible. Regards, signed, S.H.
Your idea humour somewhat obscure and singularly ill-timed. I'm therefore proceeding immediately to 11 Rue de Trajan, Montpellier. Signed, J.W.
Monsieur Désir.
Un café au lait, s'il vous plaît. No, better make that deux café. I'm expecting to meet a young lady.
2 cafés, monsieur. Et bonne chance.
I beg your pardon?
La carte postale, très jolie. Voulez-vous des cartes postales?
What did he say?
He asks, do you wish to buy postcards?
Très jolie, très amusante.
Certainly not. Go away. Allez-vous-en.
Oh.
Forgive me. You are Dr. Watson?
Mademoiselle Devine? Bonjour.
I received your note. How may I help you?
Won't you sit down? I took the liberty of ordering coffee.
You're very kind.
As I said in my letter, it's in connection with Lady Frances Carfax.
Yes, but I do not know if there's much I can tell you.
You parted from Lady Frances on rather bad terms, I believe.
Oh, no, not at all. Lady Frances has always been kind to me. I only left her because she was returning to London and I had to come home. I am engaged to be married in a few weeks.
Oh, my apologies, mademoiselle. And my good wishes.
Merci, monsieur.
I heard you were in tears when you left Lady Frances, and I assumed...
She gave me £50 as a wedding present. It broke my heart to say goodbye. My only comfort was that I left her in good company.
Dr. and Mrs. Schlesinger?
Oh, you know them? Oh, I was relieved because of that wicked man who followed her everywhere. I knew she would be safe in the care of her new friends.
Tell me about this man. Who was he?
I only saw him the once, in the foyer of the hotel at Lausanne. Oh, he was a terrible man. She would never speak of him, but I know she lived in a state of continual terror. Oh, mon Dieu.
What is it? What's the matter?
He pursues her still. There he is now. The man coming towards us.
Mademoiselle Devine.
Yes, but...
I inquired at your house. They said I would find you here.
Kindly stop annoying this young lady, sir.
Who the devil are you?
Never mind that. Where is Lady Frances Carfax?
What?
What have you done with her? How dare you? Take your hands off her.
Mind your head, Watson! How are you feeling now?
What? No picture postcards. How many more?
Forget the postcards, old chap. How are you feeling?
Good Lord. Holmes. But what... who are you...
I've kept an eye on you since you arrived in Montpellier. When our bearded friend got his hands around your windpipe, I thought it was time to intervene. So I struck him behind the ear with a water carafe, and he went down like a felled ox, taking you and the table with him.
But where is he now? And where's Mademoiselle Devine?
She took to her heels, and I can't say I blame her. As for your opponent, I fancy we shall run into him again presently. Meanwhile, I suggest we return to your hotel and tidy you up. I'm glad to see you looking a little more like your old self, bathed, changed, and in your right mind at last.
What do you mean by that?
Well, my dear fellow, you must admit you made a pretty good hash of things so far, eh?
Certainly not. What are you doing here, anyway? I thought you were fully occupied with the Abrahams case.
Well, the moment that was cleared up, I left London by the night train, and not a moment too soon by the look of it.
You needn't have troubled. I could have handled matters perfectly well without you.
Well, you've been remarkably consistent, I grant you that.
Thank you.
In fact, I can't offhand recall any possible blunder which you've managed to avoid.
Now, look
The
here.
total result of your efforts has been to raise the alarm everywhere and discover nothing.
Perhaps you think you might have done better.
Oh, there's no perhaps about it. I have done better. This will be the Honourable Philip Green. I trust that with his help we may find a fresh starting point to this whole sorry business. Come in.
Mr. Holmes, I received your message, and I have come to... Why is this man here?
Allow me to present my old friend and trusted associate, Dr. Watson, who's assisting me in this curious case. Oh, for heaven's sake, shake hands, gentlemen.
Well, how do you do?
Dr. Watson, I hope I didn't do you any damage. The fact is, I've been living on my nerves lately, and when you accused me of harming Frances, I'm afraid I lost my head. This situation is completely beyond me.
And beyond me, too. Or so I'm led to believe. No doubt Mr. Holmes will explain it to us.
What I can't fathom out, Mr. Holmes, is how in the world you came to know of my existence.
I've been in touch with Miss Daubeny, the old governess of Lady Frances.
Old Susan Daubeny with the mob cap. I remember her very well.
She remembers you. It was in the days before you found it necessary to go to South Africa.
I see you already know the story. Well, I'll be frank with you, Mr. Holmes. No man in this world ever loved a woman more than I loved Frances. All right, I was pretty wild as a youngster, I admit that. When she heard some of the things I'd done, well, she wouldn't have any more to do with me. And yet she still loved me. Loved me so much, she's remained single all her blessed days, just for my sake. As the years passed and I made some money and settled down, I thought... Perhaps it was foolish of me, but I thought...
You thought you'd try to find her again?
I traced her to Lausanne, and she ran away from me. I picked up her trail as far as Baden, but she gave me the slip again. Then I managed to track down her maid. For pity's sake, Mr. Holmes, tell me what has become of Lady Frances.
That is what we intend to find out. Now, do you have a London address, Mr. Green?
The Langham Hotel will find me.
Then may I recommend that you return there and stay on hand until I call you? Rest assured, I will do all I can for the safety of Lady Frances. I can say no more at present. Now, here's my card, so you may keep in touch. And now, Watson, perhaps you'll send a wire to Mrs. Hudson informing her that 2 hungry travellers will be arriving tomorrow night at 8.
There's a telegram for you, Holmes.
Please open it for me, will you?
It's from the Englischer Hof at Baden.
Ah.
Just 3 words. Jagged or torn. What does it mean?
Means everything. You may remember my seemingly irrelevant question regarding the clerical gentleman's left ear.
I couldn't believe it was a serious inquiry.
Well, luckily, I sent the same inquiry to the manager, Herr Brandt, and he produced the answer I expected. Dr. Schlesinger's left ear was jagged or torn.
What does that show?
Well, it shows that we're dealing with an exceptionally astute and dangerous man. The Reverend Dr. Schlesinger, missionary from South America, is none other than Holy Peters, one of the most unscrupulous rascals Australia has ever turned out. Yes, his speciality is the beguiling of lonely ladies by playing upon their religious sensibilities.
But he has a wife.
His so-called wife, an Englishwoman, is a worthy helpmeet. The nature of his tactics suggested Holy Peters at once, and his physical peculiarity merely confirmed my suspicion. He was badly bitten during a saloon brawl in Adelaide in '89.
Then, if Lady Frances is in their hands...
It's possible she's already dead. They'll stop at nothing.
But if she is still alive...
Oh, she's undoubtedly being held in some sort of confinement, unable to get in touch with the outside world. Yes, my instinct tells me she's in London, but where? Oh, heaven alone knows. I've consulted our old friend Lestrade at Scotland Yard. Tomorrow we'll pay a call upon him to ask what he's discovered during our absence.
So far, Mr. Holmes, I'm sorry to say we've drawn a blank.
You disappoint me, Inspector.
Well, you didn't give us a lot to go on, did you? Amongst all the millions in London, a search for those 3 individuals is worse than needles in haystacks.
What about Lady Frances's jewellery? That could be traced, perhaps.
Well done, Watson. I took the precaution of making a list of the jewellery with the help of Miss Daubeny, and the inspector's been circulating their description through the usual channels, but thank you for the suggestion.
Don't mention it. So that didn't produce any result either.
Oh, I wouldn't say that exactly. There was a report of one of the items turning up.
Well, why didn't you say so? What was it? Where?
A silver and diamond pendant of antique Spanish design was pawned somewhere in South London by a large, clean-shaven man of clerical appearance.
Well, did it even name an address?
Yes, but on investigation they turned out to be false.
Did the pawnbroker notice the man's left ear by any chance?
Well, I couldn't tell you offhand. I can look up the file if you're interested.
And you've set a plainclothes man to watch the shop in case he tries it again.
Oh, no, Mr. Holmes. We can't do that. There's not enough evidence to justify wasting a man's time in that way. Anyhow, I'll just fetch that file. I'll keep you a moment.
He should have kept the place under observation.
I presume it's against police regulations.
Confounded red tape. However, this will be a job for the Honourable Philip. It'll give him something to do. I'll send a letter to the pawnbroker, and they can fix him up in the back of the shop.
Oh, I don't suppose Lestrade would approve of that.
Lestrade isn't going to find out. Ah, Inspector, you're very quick.
We don't hang about here in the yard, Mr. Holmes. Unfortunately, there's no mention of the gentleman's left ear in the description as given here.
Oh, no, it must have been Peters. I've no doubt on that score. By the way, as a matter of interest, where was this pawnbroker's shop?
Bevington's in Westminster Road, Brixton. But like I said, I can't take any further action as to that, I'm sorry.
Ah, well, we must try to possess our souls in patience, mustn't we?
You don't think Philip Green might go off the deep end again and resort to fisticuffs?
I put him on his honour. No violence, no indiscretion. He's promised not to take any action whatever without my knowledge and consent.
Let's hope he keeps his word. But time's running out, Holmes. And while we do nothing, some terrible disaster may befall Lady Frances.
I am aware of that. We must be prepared for the worst.
Listen, someone on the stairs.
We have him. We have him at last.
My dear sir, sit down. Try to calm yourself.
Thank you.